Did you know that the oatmeal you eat every morning could be quietly working against your health instead of for it? That might sound strange, especially if you've always thought of oatmeal as one of the safest, most heart-friendly breakfasts out there. And to be fair, oatmeal on its own really does deserve its reputation. It's gentle on the stomach, full of soluble fiber, and one of the best foods you can eat to help control cholesterol and balance blood sugar. But here's the part that most people never talk about. It isn't usually the oats that cause trouble. It's what we add to them. For many older adults, especially after 60, breakfast becomes a comfort ritual. A warm bowl of oats feels simple, nourishing, and easy to digest. But over the years, the body changes. Digestion slows down, insulin response weakens, and the liver and kidneys aren't quite as efficient as they once were. That means foods and ingredients that seem harmless in your 40s or 50s may start causing hidden stress in your 60s, 70s, and beyond. And because oatmeal has such a healthy image, people rarely suspect that their toppings, the things they stir in to make it taste better, could quietly be sabotaging them. That's what makes this topic so important. The truth is, your oatmeal can either be a healing, steady breakfast that protects your heart and fuels your body, or it could be a sugar bomb, a metabolic stressor, and even a long-term threat to your liver and kidneys. The difference comes down to what you mix in. And here's the part that might surprise you. Many of the ingredients people add are actually marketed as healthy. So today, I want to walk with you through 7 common additions that often sneak into oatmeal bowls and explain why each one could be doing you more harm than good. Some of these will probably surprise you. Others you may have trusted for years. But by the time we're finished, you'll know exactly which ones to avoid and what to use instead. So your oatmeal really does support your body the way you intended. And stay with me until the end, because even removing just 1 or 2 of these can mean more stable energy, better blood sugar, and real protection for your heart, liver, and kidneys. Let's start with the most obvious one, the sweet scoop that almost everyone has tried at some point. Brown sugar. It looks innocent enough, right? A little more natural than plain white sugar, and it melts perfectly into hot oatmeal. But here's the thing. Your body doesn't treat brown sugar any differently than white sugar. To your system, especially after 60, it's all the same, fast-absorbing glucose that sends your blood sugar soaring and then crashing. When you stir a spoonful of brown sugar into your oats, you're not just sweetening your breakfast. You're creating a sharp rise in blood sugar that stresses your pancreas and insulin response. In younger years, the body can often handle these spikes. But with age, the pancreas produces less insulin, and the body becomes more resistant to the insulin it does make. That means sugar hits harder, and the recovery takes longer. The result? You feel tired, foggy, or even hungrier just an hour after eating. Over time, these repeated spikes also contribute to belly fat, inflammation, and damage to blood vessels, things that make heart disease and type 2 diabetes much more likely. I remember meeting a woman named Janet. She was 67 and swore by her morning ritual of oatmeal with just a little brown sugar and skim milk. It's healthy, she insisted, and it keeps me full. But she could never understand why she always needed a nap by mid-morning around 10:30. After talking with her doctor, she decided to cut out the added sugar and replace it with cinnamon and a few slices of banana instead. Within a week, her morning energy was steady. She told me, "I didn't think it was the sugar. It was just a spoonful." But that spoonful was setting everything off. Brown sugar doesn't just affect you in the moment. It also primes your brain to crave more sweets later in the day. Sugar triggers dopamine, the pleasure chemical, and once that fades, your brain looks for another hit. It's not about weak willpower. It's pure biology. That's why many people who start their day with sugar often end it still craving dessert. But there's good news. You don't have to give up all sweetness. You just have to shift it. A touch of banana, a sprinkle of cinnamon, or even a splash of vanilla can give your oatmeal natural flavor without spiking your blood sugar. These don't just taste good. They support your body instead of overwhelming it. Because when you begin your day with stable blood sugar, everything else works better. Your memory, your mood, your metabolism. And removing that 1 scoop of brown sugar might be the simplest change you ever make that has the biggest impact. Now, let's talk about the so-called smarter alternative. Artificial sweeteners. They come in little pink, yellow, or blue packets, or sometimes in bottles of sugar-free syrups. Many seniors turn to them because they're told they won't raise blood sugar. And on the surface, that sounds perfect. Sweet taste without the sugar, right? Unfortunately, the reality is far more complicated. When your body tastes sweetness, it expects energy and calories to follow. But artificial sweeteners deliver the taste without the fuel. That mismatch confuses your system. Studies show it can alter insulin response, increase cravings, and even slow down your metabolism. And in older adults, where hormones are already shifting and metabolism naturally slows, that disruption hits even harder. Instead of making weight control easier, artificial sweeteners can actually make it harder. Then there's the impact on the liver. Many artificial sweeteners, like sucralose or aspartame, have to be processed by the liver. While they don't raise blood sugar directly, they still require filtration. Over years of daily use, that adds unnecessary work for a liver that may already be under stress from medications, age-related changes, or other dietary factors. The result can be sluggish liver function, fatigue, digestive issues, and even elevated liver enzymes, sometimes without clear symptoms until real damage has already begun. A man named Charles, 74, comes to mind. For years, he stirred sugar-free syrups and sweetener packets into his oatmeal, thinking it was a diabetic-friendly choice. But then, his liver labs started coming back a little high. His doctor suggested he cut back on artificial additives, and within weeks, his digestion improved and his labs began trending back toward normal. I thought I was helping myself, he said, but I was really just giving my liver one more job to do. That's the hidden cost of these sweeteners. They don't nourish. They only trick the body. If you want real sweetness without the crash, use cinnamon, nutmeg, or a splash of almond extract. Even a small handful of real fruit offers not just flavor, but vitamins, antioxidants, and fiber, things no lab-made powder can ever match. And if you're watching this right now and finding these insights eye-opening, let me know you're here. Comment the number 2 below. It's a simple way for me to know you're still with me and that these tips matter to you. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now's the time to do it so you don't miss the rest of this series. Your support is what allows us to keep creating content that informs and inspires. Now let's move on to another topic that might surprise you: dried fruit. At first glance, it seems like one of the healthiest things you could add. After all, it comes from real fruit. But here's what happens when fruit is dried. The water disappears, and the sugar becomes extremely concentrated. That means just a handful of raisins, dates, or dried cranberries can contain as much sugar as a candy bar. For older adults, that concentrated sugar poses a special challenge. Most of it is fructose, a sugar that the liver has to handle almost entirely on its own. Unlike glucose, which the muscles and brain can use for energy, fructose is sent straight to the liver, where it can be turned into fat. That process contributes directly to fatty liver disease, which is becoming alarmingly common in people over 60, even those who never drink alcohol. And that's not all. Many dried fruits sold in stores are coated with extra sugar syrup to keep them soft and sweet. A small serving of dried cranberries, for example, can contain over 20 grams of added sugar. Even the unsweetened ones still hit the liver hard because the sugar is so densely packed into a small serving. I remember Gerald, 69, who loved adding dried apricots to his oatmeal. He thought it was boosting his fiber intake. But over time, he felt bloated after breakfast, and his blood pressure kept creeping upward. When he finally switched from dried fruit to fresh blueberries, the difference was almost immediate. The bloating disappeared, and even his doctor noticed the improvement. He told me, "I didn't think those little pieces could cause so much trouble." If you enjoy fruit in your oatmeal, the solution is simple. Go fresh. A few slices of apple, a handful of berries, or half a banana delivers sweetness, along with water, fiber, and antioxidants that slow the sugar's absorption and ease the liver's workload. You'll still get flavor, but in a form your body can handle, especially in your 60s, 70s, and beyond. And that's really the key message here. It's not about giving up sweetness or comfort. It's about choosing the kind that works with your body, not against it, because your liver has carried you for decades, filtering toxins and fueling your energy. Now is the time to lighten its load, not add to it. When most people think about making oatmeal, convenience often comes first. You want something quick, simple, and reliable. That's why those little flavored oat packets have become so popular over the years. Tear it open, add water or milk, and in just a minute or two you have a warm breakfast that promises comfort and even health. But here's the catch. What looks like a wholesome, heart-friendly choice is often filled with hidden ingredients that quietly chip away at your health, especially after 60. The first red flag is sodium. Many flavored oat packets contain between 200 and 300 milligrams per serving. That might not sound like a lot, but remember, most people don't stop at just one serving. And when you add in sodium from bread, soups, or snacks throughout the day, it quickly stacks up. For someone already managing high blood pressure, heart issues, or reduced kidney function, that extra sodium isn't small. It silently pushes your system towards swelling, strain, and even higher risk of cardiovascular problems. And then there's the flavor itself. If you've ever wondered how a packet of oats can taste like maple brown sugar or apple cinnamon without actual fruit or syrup inside, the answer is chemicals. Artificial flavors, stabilizers, and colorants are used to mimic real ingredients. These don't nourish your body. They don't protect your heart or support your brain. They just give the illusion of flavor while forcing your liver and kidneys to do extra work to filter them out. Carol, a 73-year-old woman I once met, told me she lived on flavored oat packets for years. Sometimes she'd even eat 2 a day because they were quick and easy. She thought she was making a healthy choice. But over time, she noticed her hands swelling and her blood pressure inching higher. It wasn't until she switched to plain rolled oats with fresh apple slices and cinnamon that the puffiness began to fade and her morning numbers improved. I never thought a little packet could do all that, she admitted. But it can, and it does. The truth is, the health claims on those packets, things like whole grain, low fat, or heart healthy, are really just marketing. The part they don't mention, the preservatives, the excess sodium, the sugar, and the flavor enhancers. That's why, if you want real benefits from oatmeal, the simplest answer is the best one. Stick to plain oats and add your own toppings. It takes only a few extra minutes, but your body feels a difference every single day. Now let's talk about another silent danger hiding in many kitchens, non-dairy creamers. At first, they seem like a harmless way to make oatmeal creamier, especially if you're lactose intolerant or avoiding milk. But here's what most people don't realize. Most non-dairy creamers, whether powder or liquid, are packed with oils, thickeners, and artificial flavors. And many of those oils are hydrogenated or partially hydrogenated, which means trans fats. Trans fats are among the most damaging ingredients you can consume. They raise your LDL cholesterol, the bad kind, and lower your HDL cholesterol, the good kind. That's a dangerous combination for anyone, but particularly for older adults already facing cardiovascular risks. Even worse, products labeled as trans fat-free can still contain small amounts. And when you use these creamers every day, those small amounts add up over time, slowly working against your heart health. And the problems don't stop there. Non-dairy creamers also rely on additives like emulsifiers and artificial flavors to mimic creaminess. These compounds don't give your body nutrition. They just create more work for your liver and kidneys, which are already working harder with age and often carrying the load of medications. Over time, this extra strain contributes to chronic inflammation. And chronic inflammation is no small thing. It's been linked to heart disease, joint pain, and even cognitive decline. I think of Frank, a 75-year-old who used powdered creamer in almost everything. His coffee, his oatmeal, even soups. He liked the taste and thought it was an easy substitute for milk. But as the years passed, his cholesterol rose and his digestion started to give him trouble. His doctor finally encouraged him to cut out creamers altogether. Within 2 months, his cholesterol numbers improved and his stomach calmed down. Frank told me, "I thought it was just a little powder. I didn't realize it was messing up everything else." And that's the tricky part with creamers. They're marketed as light, convenient, and even cholesterol-free. But what they don't show on the front label are the oils and additives that quietly undermine your health. If you want creaminess in your oatmeal, there are far better choices. A splash of unsweetened almond milk, oat milk, or even organic dairy cream, if you tolerate it, gives you richness without the synthetic junk. A spoonful of plain yogurt works beautifully too. These choices don't just mimic cream. They actually give your body real nutrients. Now, let's move on to something that might surprise you. Granola. For decades, granola has carried this image of being wholesome, natural, even heart-friendly. The word itself just sounds healthy. But when it comes to store-bought granola, the reality is very different. The biggest problem is sugar. To create that golden crunch and sweet flavor, manufacturers often bake granola with sugar syrups like honey, brown rice syrup, or evaporated cane juice. And while those may sound more natural, they affect your body the same way as white sugar. They spike your blood sugar, strain your insulin, and fuel cravings. For seniors who are already sensitive to sugar swings, that can mean fatigue, belly fat, or worsening prediabetes. But sugar isn't the only issue. Many granolas are baked with oils, usually cheap, refined ones like canola, soybean, or palm oil. These oils can promote inflammation when eaten regularly, which contributes to stiff joints, higher cholesterol, and fatigue. Even small amounts, over time, add up. And here's another trap: portion size. Look at the nutrition label on a box of granola, and you'll often see a serving size of just a few tablespoons. But most people pour much more than that, sometimes half a cup or more. Suddenly, what you thought was a crunchy topping becomes hundreds of extra calories, dozens of grams of carbs, and unhealthy fats piled into your breakfast. Ellen, a 71-year-old I once spoke to, loved adding granola to her oatmeal every morning. It gave her that crunch she craved. But when she finally compared the numbers, she realized she was adding more sugar and fat than an entire cookie without even noticing. Once she swapped the granola for chopped walnuts, her blood sugar steadied and those mid-afternoon slumps disappeared. "I didn't know granola could do that," she told me. But that's exactly how marketing tricks us, by wrapping sugar and oil in a healthy disguise. If you love crunch in your oatmeal, don't worry. You don't have to give it up. Just replace it with cleaner options. Toasted seeds, unsweetened coconut flakes, or raw nuts like almonds and pecans give you the texture you want, with real fiber and healthy fat your body actually needs. These not only taste good, but also support heart and brain health, instead of quietly undermining it. So as we move forward, remember this: oatmeal is meant to help you. It should be a steady, calming start to your day, not a hidden trap. And the more you know about these sneaky ingredients, flavored packets, non-dairy creamers, and granola, the easier it becomes to protect your health one bite at a time. One of the most common messages people hear as they get older is that they need more protein. Doctors, magazines, even fitness experts talk about the importance of protein for muscle strength, energy, and recovery. And they're not wrong. Protein does matter, especially after 60 when muscle naturally declines. But here's where the problem begins. Instead of turning to food-based proteins, many older adults start adding protein powders to their oatmeal every morning. And while that might sound smart, the reality is that most protein powders come with baggage your body doesn't need. Let's start with the ingredients. If you've ever looked at the back of a protein powder container, you know the list is long, sometimes 20 or more ingredients. Alongside the protein itself are artificial sweeteners, thickeners, preservatives, and synthetic flavorings. These don't support your body. They just force your kidneys and liver to do extra filtering. And remember, as you age, those organs are already carrying decades of work, processing medications, dealing with slower metabolism, and handling toxins from the environment. Adding a scoop of processed powder every single day may not seem like much, but quietly piles on stress exactly where you don't need it. Then there's the issue of quantity. Younger bodies can often handle large amounts of protein because they burn more, repair more, and process faster. But after 60, your body becomes less efficient at using excess protein. What isn't needed for tissue repair or energy gets broken down and excreted through the kidneys. For anyone with even mildly reduced kidney function, a common but often silent issue in older adults, that extra load can slowly worsen decline. Symptoms like fatigue, swelling, or appetite changes often don't appear until damage is already advanced. Dennis, a 78-year-old man I once spoke to, learned this lesson the hard way. He had read that protein was the key to staying strong, so he stirred powder into his oatmeal every morning without fail. At first, it seemed harmless, but over time, his kidney numbers began creeping upward on lab tests. His doctor traced the cause back to his daily protein supplements, especially since he was already eating enough protein from meals. When Dennis switched to real food sources like eggs, yogurt, and nut spread throughout the day, his numbers steadied again. I thought more was better, he said, but I didn't realize I was overdoing it. That's the danger of protein powders. They create the illusion that you're fueling your body wisely, when in reality, you may just be burdening it with things it never asked for. And it's not just the kidneys and liver that pay the price. Many powders also contain added sugars or artificial sweeteners that stress blood sugar and metabolism. Some even hide unhealthy fats or fillers that contribute to inflammation. The packaging may say clean, lean, or muscle supporting, but what's inside often tells a very different story. So, what should you do if you really want more protein in the morning? The best option is to stick to whole, recognizable foods. A spoonful of plain Greek yogurt stirred into your oatmeal gives you protein, along with probiotics for gut health. A handful of walnuts or almonds adds protein plus healthy fats for your heart and brain. Even something as simple as pairing your oatmeal with a boiled egg on the side gives you a balanced start without the hidden chemicals. These options aren't flashy. They don't come with marketing buzzwords. But they're real food, the kind your body knows how to process and actually benefit from. And that's really the bigger picture here. Your oatmeal on its own is a wonderful food, but what you choose to stir into it determines whether it strengthens your health or slowly chips away at it. Throughout this series, we've uncovered 7 common add-ins that often cause more harm than good. Brown sugar, artificial sweeteners, dried fruits, flavored oat packets, non-dairy creamers, store-bought granola, and protein powders. Each one carries risks that may not show up immediately but build quietly over time, whether it's sugar spikes, liver strain, kidney stress, or added inflammation. The encouraging part is this. You don't need any of those things to make your oatmeal enjoyable. In fact, the simpler your bowl, the better your body will respond. A sprinkle of cinnamon, a handful of fresh berries, a few chopped nuts, a splash of clean milk or almond milk. These are ingredients that work with your body instead of against it. They provide steady energy, protect your organs, and help you start your day with balance instead of stress. And I want you to think about this. You eat breakfast every single day. That means even small changes ripple outward into big results. Removing just one harmful topping could mean more stable blood sugar, fewer mid-morning crashes, and less strain on your heart and kidneys. Imagine how your days would feel if your breakfast worked with your body, not against it. Imagine waking up with steady energy that carries through to lunch, instead of needing a nap by mid-morning. That's the power of making mindful choices. I know change isn't always easy. We get attached to our routines, especially the ones we've carried for years. But think of it this way. Your body has carried you through decades of life, through work, family, stress, joy, and everything in between. Now it's asking you for a little support in return. And one of the simplest, most powerful ways you can give it that support is by choosing what you put into your oatmeal bowl. So here's what I'd like you to do. The next time you make oatmeal, pause for just a moment. Look at what you're about to add. Ask yourself, is this ingredient helping my body, or is it quietly hurting it? That little question, asked daily, can change everything. And before we close, I'd love to hear from you. Out of the 7 ingredients we've talked about, which one do you use most often? And which one are you ready to let go of starting tomorrow? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your story might be the very thing that inspires someone else to make a change. If you found this series helpful, please take a second to like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss what's coming next. Your support not only helps this channel, it helps spread information that can improve lives, one breakfast at a time. Remember, oatmeal can be one of the healthiest foods in your kitchen, but only if you let it. Make it simple, make it real, and let it be the kind of meal that truly loves your body back.